Alright, this is the final entry for the 30 days of scripting. All the way now in freaking July. We're getting closer to when I started doing this. I thought I'd do this faster, but I didn't. Anyways, this is gonna be the final one, and then I can go do some other cool stuff. But, Roblox is kind of going in a very bad hole right now with all the stuff that they've been doing lately, and I personally don't know if I'm gonna stick with Roblox. I'm just gonna hope that maybe they can recover what the mistakes they've been doing in the past year. Hopefully 2027 for Roblox will be good, because with how it's been now, it's not really been doing good. Anyways, the 30th piece of this portfolio here is a mini-game framework, and what that means is we're going to create the whole entire system for how mini-games would run. So you could think something like epic mini-games, we'd create something similar to that, but it'd be a lot more smaller because I don't want to create the whole entire game, which would take hours, which you can do in this one portfolio entry. So in the main place here, I've added a button here, and I've made a local script called the minigame teleport, and what I did is I made a place within this game here, and all you do is you go to your asset manager, which is somewhere, I don't know how to navigate the new UI. Here it is, asset manager, and you create a new experience, and you copy the ID, and you put that into here. So all this teleport does is when the button is clicked, we teleport the player. We wrap it in a protected call because teleports can go wrong. So that's all we do here. And once that's set up, you can actually go into the main place where I've also done a tiny bit of setting up. Alright, now that we're in the minigames place here, just copy that ID and put it in. Don't use my ID, it'll take you here. Use your own ID if you want to actually follow this. But now they're in here, all the setup I did here was I made a waiting area and a playing area. This is going to be the example space for when we're actually setting up the minigame. Because if you've played any minigame before, like epic minigames, there's the lobby and then there's the actual place where players are teleported when the minigame begins, right? So all that is in workspace is we have, these are the labels that I'm going to use for demonstration, and then playing area and waiting area are just the parts that we're going to use as examples here. And why is my select there? And yeah, that's what they look like. So to get started here, it's a minigame framework is one of the more lighter and easier frameworks to make because they're really simple to understand. All we do is we just collect the players that join, and we determine whether or not they're able to be put in a minigame or not. And it's all part of just like one big loop, right? So the first thing we actually need is a startup script, not a script, the startup behavior for when the minigame initializes here. So inside of we're going to put our loader here, and in replicated storage we're going to get our module here, and all of my templates are gone. What the hell? Okay, all of my templates are gone, so you have to give me a second here. I gotta get those back up. Okay, I got loader up here. So we're just going to go back over to the thing here. I'm just going to call this, or actually I'm just going to call this a loader. I don't want it to be complicated. And then in here, we're just going to say grab this, and then load all, and pass in, yeah, screw it up. And essentially this module loader, it's only going for an init. We're not using a colon start anymore. I personally don't like using that colon init start thing. I only prefer the init. Feel free to copy this loader if anyone wants it. It's a very basic one. So now that we're loading all of server script service here, it's only going to load stuff with the colon init method, and we also have the colon get, which is what we're going to be doing for a lot of the modules, or just a simple require. Both work perfectly fine. So anyways, the first thing we want to do is actually set up the core, which is our startup behavior. So inside our script service, I'm just going to a folder here, and this is going to be well, actually, because this entire game is a framework itself, I'm not going to make a folder for the minigame framework. This part here is going to be this. Okay, I'm explaining this very poorly, but the entire game here is the framework, so I don't want to make a folder for the framework itself, right? So we're going to get this system in here, and this is going to be called the minigame startup, or as a matter of fact, I should keep it as minigame startup here. And what we want this to do is we first want and actually I need to make my template here because I kind of need it. Hold on. So actually, I'm gonna change this here. Instead of it being a local variable, we're just gonna say minigame system lobby list. So that way other scripts can reference it easily. And then we can just go ahead and grab a run service here. And then we can just say run service dot render stat next. And what we can do is we can take this here, but we want to be greater than 3. And actually, we don't want to, if the game is running, we don't want to run this loop here. So we can simply say if not minigame system.gameActive, then we can do this here. So if the amount of people in the lobby is greater than 3, then we're simply just going to run a 15-second wait here. And once the 15 is done, we're going to teleport all the players over. So before we do this, we want to actually make sure that we have a player manager here. I put a click detector on accident. And on this player manager here, we're going to want to get the player service. So game.players.player added connect function, get that player in, and also we want that loader, so I'm gonna grab the loader and we're gonna say we'll put server script service up here just to be organized. And instead of using require, we're just gonna say loader :get, and that's how you'd do this here. And then in this you're gonna say game system. Actually, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the player, just in case, doesn't already exist in that table. So if not minigame system is equal to player, just like that. And I don't know why it's not giving me the, oh well, actually I guess I could use require here, that would work. And also we can use the player removed game.players. Wait, why am I using game? I have the players variable up here, players dot player removing thanks function. And what we're gonna do is we're also gonna have a table for players in game, minigame system dot game list, and we're gonna run a check here. Then we're just going to do that equal to nil, and that will just remove the player's ID from the tables, and it will clear it up for when players leave or if player joins. When a player joins, they're always going to be added to the lobby. If a player leaves, they could leave while they're in a mini game, or they could leave while they're in the lobby. And if that's the case, we want to make sure that they're taken up. So now back here, once the fulfillment has been reached, we want to teleport every single player to the minigame, right? But before we do that, we actually want to make, so when we're loading a minigame, each minigame runs differently. It's a different, unique minigame. It's not the same minigame over and over again, right? So we want each minigame to be its own script. Every single minigame is going to be its own environment. So if this, imagine a server script service was our minigame frameworks folder, then we're going to have another folder inside here called minigames. And in this folder, we're going to have the individual games. So they could be module scripts or they could be regular scripts. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to use a module script as an example here. And we're not going to use an init method here. So we'll just call this game 1. And in this game 1, we want a :start game and a game ended. And the game ended is going to tell us who wins the game and the rewards. Now, the more advanced the minigame system can get, you could assign different rewards for each player, which would be handled inside of this here, right? So we want first function, game 1, :start game. Make sure that every single minigame will have this, so that way it can be modular. You can just drag and drop a new minigame and it'll work every single time, alright? And we can close out a player manager, we don't need that anymore. What you would do is you would pick a random thing here. Actually, I'll do that for you. So we could say for _ minigame in, let's actually get server script service here. In server script service dot minigames and get children, do is say if minigame is a module script, and actually we'll do this. So if it's a module script and we're gonna run the type here, or actually wait, we want to require the module first. What am I doing? We're gonna say local loaded minigame is going to go to require the minigame, right? And now we want to check if the type of the loaded minigame dot start game is equal to a function, then we can run this, because we want to make sure that it has this method in it, because if it doesn't have it, then we don't really want to run that there. We're going to put it in a table, and we're going to say insert pool and the loaded minigame, and we're going to check if the number of pool is greater than 0, which is what we want to do. Just do this right here, and get a random minigame, run the start game, and set game active to true. Now back over on our game. Actually, when we run start game, we want to pass through the players that are going to be going through, right? So we're going to pass in the lobby list, or no, we want to pass in the lobby list, right? Now for this example game, we're just going to make it so that every second a random player dies, and it's a completely RNG game. Every second a random player dies, and the last player surviving wins, right? It's just a very simple, I don't even want to call it a minigame, but it's just a test here, right? So what we first want to do is teleport all the players over, and in this case, because it's not an asymmetrical minigame or a special minigame, you want to make sure that your minigame controls how the players are teleported. Because what if it's an asymmetrical minigame and you want the survivors to be teleported separately in like their survivor area, and you want the killer to be in their own little room until time their head start's done, right? You want to make sure that each minigame itself handles the teleports. So in this case, we just want to teleport all of the players over to the playing area, just a random position on the playing area. So we can simply say local playing area, so go to workspace dot playing area. And also in our player manager, we want to make sure, actually we can just put the spawn location in the waiting area. We can just do that instead of making the player manager do the teleporting there. And for underscore player in players we're not gonna do this yet. We're going to use a pivot too, but what we want to do is we want to get a random position on the part here. So get a random x. Now a random x and z is our flat. It's not flat. It's like the ground here. If you look at this thing here at the top right, you can see that x is like this, and then z is here. Actually, no, this is z and x, right? And then y is the up and down. But we actually don't really want to care about the y, because then we'll have like a player be put like below the part or on top of the part. We just want to make sure that they're here on this part. So the y will be a fixed offset when the y is going to be how tall the part is. So on our size, it has a height of 1, so we're going to put the player 1 step above the part. And I'm going to delete this because I don't know what happened there. So the random x is, we're just going to use the map.random, or you could use the random.new, but I haven't really experimented with random.new. I know it's much better than map.random, and I think I'm going to transition to random.new more, just like the vector.new, what? Yeah, there's like this new vector.new thing, or I don't even remember what it was. I know there was a new vector. I'm going off topic here. So we're going to use the map.random, and we want to get, so with the part here, the center is like here, right? And when you look at the size, the x is 40. That means that there's 20 going this way. Oh, sorry, there's 20 going this way, and there's 20 going the other way. So if we're teleporting a player, we want to get the full bound, because if we use 40, it's just going to assume that the distance from the center to here is 40. It's going to be like here, right? We want to make sure that if this is a circle, I could say radius and diameter, but what we want to do is we want to take the negative x size and divide that by 2, and that's going to give us the x from here to the center. And the maximum is the positive. So it's going to go from here to here. That's a positive. So instead of it being from here to like all the way here is 40, it'd be this part and then this part. And that's the balance. It's going to go from here all the way to here instead of from here all the way up to like there, right? This is the full bounds of the part that we want the player to do it in. And the same thing is going to be for the z value. It's the exact same logic, and if you wanted to do it for a y value, it's the same logic for the y value. But in this case, we're using a fixed offset here. So now we can just say cframe dot new here, or actually wait, no, we'll just do this. We'll do this a different way. Get the playing area times cframe and apply the random x one, so the player's above it, and the random, oh, I didn't change the variable name, oops. Yeah, that's it. Make sure we do that, or else you're gonna have an error there. And then we can pivot to the random cframe here, and that's the first part there. So what I could do is I could set this to be 1. Actually, let's do greater than or equal to. So that way we can have a minimum of 3 players. And let's join up here, and we'll just put a timer here so we can visualize this easier. And hold on, I used render stepped here. It should be heartbeat, and nothing is happening. Okay, of course. Okay, so the issue is really simple. I'm formatting this as an array, but it's a dictionary. So I kind of forgot to do that. I need to change this to the proper dictionary thing here. And also I added a different check here and a thing for the count being active because the run service does run pretty fast. So instead we actually need a separate thing, which is the number of players, because we're using it as a dictionary. So what this would look like here is for the lobby lists, it would be like this, and if the lobby count, right? And then for each thing added here, we're just gonna say minigame system lobby count plus equals 1, and then here same thing we'll use for the game count here. I don't know if we're gonna use it or not, but we'll just use it. I'll put it there just in case. So no, this should work here. And no, I did something wrong. Forgot to put that. Of course, why are you open? And I forgot to set up the countdown active. So actually, we don't even. No, I think we do. Now it won't stack multiple of these. Alright, so see, countdown's working, and in the end it should teleport us over. And look at that, we are teleported over to the playing area, a random position playing area. And also I need to do it a bit higher. I think the hip height is better. Hip height is always 2 for R6, I think. Is it 2? This is 2. Sorry, I haven't been in studio for a bit. I had some stuff I needed to do. Okay, I think 2 should be good. Yeah, 2 looks like it's pretty good. And as you can see, we're in the playing area and the minigame is currently active. So I'll keep this for now, and we're going to go over to the logic here because all the players are teleported over. We're going to actually run the game logic here. So for more advanced, more crazier minigames, you'd have larger miniature sub-frameworks for those games, but this one, it's just a luck-based minigame. So what we're going to do is we're just going to random get rid of a player every second here. And also in our player manager, we want to check when the player dies. So let me do that here. So let me put this here. And after they die, we're gonna take them out of the lobby and put them, well, because the spawn point is in the lobby, we don't even need to run a teleport. We just want to make sure that we take them out of the game and put them in the lobby. So we can copy this right here and run this instead. And also, once a player is teleported here, this logic we can always run. We can say for underscore player, yeah, just like that. And we can just do the opposite of this here. We can say minigame system dot game lists player dot user is equal to the player, and minigame system dot game count plus equals 1, just like that. And then when we run our game end here, so we can simply just say function minigame system dot game end, and in this here we want the winners. And if we want to get more in depth here, we can instead make this a dictionary where each winner has its own reward. So we could probably just do that. It's really simple to make here, and we can just say minigame system dot game active is going to equal to false, and also countdown active is false here. Game active is false, and we want to set everyone in the winners here to be in the, or actually we could just kill all the players. No, we don't have to do that. Or actually, no, maybe we should, so that way we don't have to handle them teleporting back. So for underscore player in the winners. So I think the winners here is we're gonna have two values. We're gonna have the player, and then we're gonna have the winner. Oh no, sorry, the player and the reward. So actually no, we'll store the character. So we'll just say player dot character is equal to 0, and then we can award them. We can award money or something. Actually, we can just say print player. Actually, hold on. Let me do this here. We're gonna say print player dot name 1. Yeah, we'll just do that, I guess. Oh, actually, we want to store the user ID instead of the player. Actually, no, never mind. That's fine. We don't have to do that. And because our player manager already handles the died here, they'll already be moved back to the lobby system, and that will be perfect. So let's actually go. Oh, you know what? Actually, we can't, because it'll create the cyclic module dependency, because this is requiring player manager and player manager is requiring that. So we can't do that. We just have to use a callback. So what we can do is put in the, what's it called? We can pass in this right here, and then on our the mini games part here, on top of receiving the players, we can use the game end callback, but we want to pass in this thing because we want, so simply when this is being called, we have this parameters coming in here, right? And when we're calling this callback, we're not really getting these parameters essentially. Well, we are, but we're not getting the feedback for it. So what we want to do is fill it here like that. And if we wanted to pass in the rewards, we can actually say here 1 and dot. Actually, never mind. I don't really feel like doing that. I'm too lazy. I'm actually way too lazy here. And now what we can do is the actual minigame itself here. So we can simply make a table for the players who are alive. So we can just clone the table. This is like the first part of the thing, so we don't even need to make a separate table. We can just clone the players who are sent in, and we want every X seconds a player to die. So we can just say an interval, and we can just have that be 3 seconds. And the amount of people who we want to win, now this could be 1, this could be 2 or 3, so we could just say local winners remaining. Right, that could be, let's say we want only 1 person left to survive. We can say only 1, right? So while number of y is actually greater than the winners remaining, because we want that, right? We can just wait that interval and then pretty much just get a random player, not humanoid, dot help, and we can set that to 0, and that's it, pretty much. Once the loop is done, we can simply call in the game end callback and pass in the players who are alive, and that's it. So we can go on ahead and test this by running with 2 people here. Run a test. No, I forgot how to do it because I don't like the new interface. Okay, 2 clients. There we go. This is our server. We don't have to worry about that. And these are our 2 players. And did I delete the... Okay. Yeah, I don't exactly know what's happening here. Let's end that. Oh, that's why. Once the last player is dead, we want to wait 3 more seconds because they won the game. Actually, hold on. I need to... Let's run the server again. Because what was happening was because as soon as the game ended, we killed the player. As soon as the player that was selected died, the player that won also died. So we want to wait. Clean up my thing here. Okay. Alright, now we're here. And I think it's because, are we both using the same ID here? Okay, hold on. Let me clean this up here. So we are waiting 3 seconds, but then both players are dying. Okay, hold on. Okay, do this one more time here. Okay, so it's printing that both player 2 and player 1 won. That is not what's supposed to be happening. Huh. Okay, I just have to fix it to an array. The issue was that it wasn't an array that was being passed, it was a dictionary being passed. So you just convert it into an array, then you add everything to the array, and you send that array instead, and that fixes it. So now one more time, if we run the test, only one player should die, and then it will not say that there was 2 winners. Okay, we're about to teleport over, then I die, and then 3 seconds later, player 2 won, and then he dies, and now we're back in the lobby state. Perfect. That works out. So we set game active to false here, and we set countdown to false. So once this, actually, let's set game active equal to false at the end here, not during the victory session. So actually, we'll put this game ended here. I'm gonna put the task out wait. The task out wait is up there, and we'll set game active back to false, and this loop should continue again, and the framework should be complete. And if you want to pass in rewards, you can pass in rewards, but I'm too lazy to do that. I really am too lazy to do that. So if I just do the test again here, let me go on ahead and just put it over here. So this is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we're teleported over. Player 2 dies, so now I win, and then that's what we get sent back to the lobby here. And let's see if it starts the thing again. Oh, I think what I need to do is use the continue. No, I don't. So after the player dies, let's just print that here. And I'm just going to do it with one person because I know it's going to happen. It's immediately going to put me to win. Okay, countdown active. Game active is still set to true. Lobby count and lobby list. But the countdown isn't starting again. Okay, so let's try this here. And what I did is I moved the start game to the very end of the logic because it's running the game end with it, essentially. And that was causing it to clog, essentially. I don't know if I explained that correctly. So now, I died, okay, and let's see, player 2 won, and perfect. Now the countdown is back, and the game loop has established. And one final thing, this is called an edge case. It's parts in your code that can break, so how bugs are found. And a very obvious one is that if a player leaves during the queue, then you don't want to continue. So essentially in this for-I thing, all we need to do is check if the, actually wait, no, hold on. Wait, yeah, so if the minigame system lobby count ends up going below 1, and let's set this, actually no, we'll do 1 here. Because below 1, that means, or actually we'll choose 2 for now so you can test this out easier. If it goes below 2, that means the player left, we're simply going to break. Not break, we're going to return. We don't want to continue on here. And we're going to set countdown active equal to false, because a player has left. I will use 1, why not? I mean, if the player still leaves, then, you know, the server closes, but whatever. It's just the people who are on their own can test it out. And the player removing already handles the game count and game list, the lobby list and lobby count for us, so things can work out here. Now, one other thing is if the player leaves during this, there's still, the table we're using here is the alive table, so we want to put a safety check here. So over here, actually, we can check if random player and the random player that currently exists. We'll grab the character and the humanoid, and we'll do the kill part here. That way we can, if humanoid, and then I turn caps on. We'll do 0, and then if the player doesn't exist, then we can simply just say that the player left. So this checks to make sure the player actually exists in the game. And if a player that was selected leaves, then it counts as that death for them, and it's logged as lost. And if you want to keep statistics with it, then you can. So if a player dies and they're not, so for instance, in this part here where they're being added back to the lobby, you could add a loss to their stats because they did not win the minigame. Easy way to, if they're not a winner, that means they're a loser. So you can't, there's no in between. Unless you have like a tie thing, you have minigames that support ties. So now what I can do is in the queue here, if I just close 1, actually hold on, I forgot, I set this to 1. Let me put this at 2 just for now, and we'll run this again here, and I'll show you what it'll look like. The safety net for the stopping it. So what I'll do is I'll close this, player left, and our timer has stopped, and we've gone back to the beginning where it's checking for players again, right? Now, let me show you what it'll look like for if the player leaves during the game, the other person is automatically the winner, because there's only two, right? So let me go show this real quick. This load here. Hover it over, close the game. Player one's, it says your player left, and there was here. Oh, that's right. Oh, we need to get rid of this stuff. Forgot about that. Oops. Because we're handling the death logic here now, not down there. So now that we're here, we're going to have player 2 leave the game. Well, yeah, also server authoritative. Here, let me just leave this, and then it'll say player left, and now I'm the winner, as you can see here. Player 1 is the winner. So that's it. And now, because player 2 is not on the server, the loop won't start anymore, and the minigame is complete, right? And that's it. So that is the minigame framework with the proper edge case handled. Now, for expanding this, you definitely want to send back more data. Instead of sending back just this with the winners in it, you can send back something called game data, and it could be a full table of all the, a dictionary of all the data from the game. So get all the winners in an array, which have the user ID of the winners, or the player data, whatever, right? And then you could have the rewards assigned to it, and like, anything else like XP, and then a win or loss thing. So, but this is the general framework. So if you want to add in a new game, you just do this, put it inside the mini games here, function, and then you use a colon start game where it accepts players, and then the callback where the data is always the same, and then you can create whatever minigame you want. You're not constricted to anything. All they give is they give you the players, and then you just have to send back whoever wins, right? And you can create any possible minigame. It could be a racing minigame, as long as the proper values are sent back to the main system, then it'll work out fine, and then the loop will continue. So that's it. That is the final entry, and to be honest, this probably was one of the easier ones. I think there have definitely been days previously that have been harder than this, but this was a really, really easy way of understanding how systems work. This is a really easy system. I think if you want to learn how to make better systems, you should start a combat system, because making a combat system has so many elements that you will learn how systems work a lot better. A minigame framework is a lot lighter, it's a lot smaller, and there's less parts moving, but I will tell you, a combat system is quite hard to make for new people, because there's so much stuff going on. You've got animations, you've got your hitboxes, and you've got abilities and the weapons that are being used, parries, blocking, dodging, and states. I actually like states are pretty easy. Making a state machine is a good way to start, but that is for another time. I think now that I've finished this whole portfolio-based thing, I can now start to making tutorials for other systems that are interesting. Things that could improve the way that programmers are programming. But I will say, this was definitely something. My original plan was to complete all of this a day after a day, but then I decided that I was gonna lazy out on some parts, and it went from a month to multiple months. But it is done, and it's definitely not a good way to show how well I can manage my time, but it's done, and there's been a lot to look at. Well, that's it. The challenge, I could say, is done. Wow. Yeah, I don't really know what else to yap at myself at the end of this. Hopefully, anyone who isn't a client who's reviewing my portfolio to hire me, like actual devs who are trying to learn how to code, look at this and learn something from it. I think I've done enough talking. My jaw is starting to hurt. Feels good. Alright,